Coming up on 5 Minute News. Texas 6-week abortion ban takes effect as Supreme Court remains silent. Texas Republicans raise voting barriers even higher. And Biden meets Ukraine leader in long-sought Oval Office visit. It's Thursday, September 2. I'm Anthony Davis. A Texas law banning most abortions in the state took effect yesterday, with the Supreme Court's silence on an emergency appeal to put the law on hold. If allowed to remain in force, the law would be the most far-reaching restriction on abortion rights in the United States since the High Court's landmark Roe v. Wade decision legalized abortion across the country in 1973. The Texas law, signed by Republican Governor Greg Abbott in May, prohibits abortions once a heartbeat can be detected in a fetus, usually around 6 weeks and before most women know they're pregnant. In a statement after the law took effect, President Joe Biden said it blatantly violates the constitutional right established under Roe v. Wade and upheld as precedent for nearly half a century. In a phone call with reporters early Wednesday, Mark Heron, a lawyer for the Center for Reproductive Rights, said that as of now, most abortion is banned in Texas. The law has effectively ruled out 85% of abortions in Texas and will force many clinics to close. Abortion rights advocates say the Texas law will force many women to travel out of state for abortions, if they can afford to do so, and also navigate issues including childcare and taking time off work. It is also expected to increase the number of women seeking to self-induce abortions using pills obtained by mail. At least 12 other states have enacted bans on abortion early in pregnancy, but all have been blocked from going into effect. What makes the Texas law different is its unusual enforcement scheme. Rather than have officials responsible for enforcing the law, private citizens are authorized to sue abortion providers and anyone involved in facilitating abortions. Among other situations, that would include anyone who drives a woman to a clinic to get an abortion. Under the law, anyone who successfully sues another person would be entitled to at least $10,000. The law is part of a hard-right agenda that Texas Republicans muscled through the state house this year ahead of the 2022 midterm elections, when Abbott is up for a third term as governor. The Republican-controlled Texas legislature has passed a major bill overhauling the state's elections, overcoming a 6-week walkout by Democrats to cement Texas as one of the most difficult states in the country in which to vote. The voting restrictions were a capstone victory in Republicans' national push to tighten voting rules and alter the administration of elections in the wake of false claims about the integrity of the 2020 presidential contest. Including Texas, 18 states across the country have passed more than 30 bills this year restricting voting, one of the greatest contractions of access to the ballot since the Voting Rights Act was passed in 1965. The relentless pace of these voting laws has raised pressure on Democrats in Congress, where a stalemate in a narrowly divided Senate has left them with little hope of passing federal voting legislation that would combat the new restrictions. Texas, a state with booming urban areas and demographic trends that have long been seen as favoring Democrats, already has some of the nation's tallest barriers to casting a ballot. It has closed hundreds of polling locations since the Supreme Court invalidated a key part of the Voting Rights Act in 2013. The state has one of the strictest voter identification laws in the country and does not permit no-excuse absentee voting by mail for voters younger than 65. Democrats, voting rights groups, and civil rights leaders had furiously opposed the Texas bill called Senate Bill 1, arguing that its impact would fall disproportionately on Black and Latino voters. President Joe Biden used his first meeting with a foreign leader since ending the war in Afghanistan to send the message on Wednesday that the United States, unburdened of its forever war, is determined to become a more reliable ally to its friends, in this case, Ukraine. Biden played host to Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky for a long-sought Oval Office meeting and tried to reassure him that his administration remains squarely behind the Eastern European nation. But he highlighted his concerns about Russian aggression in the region. Biden, in making his case to end the war in Afghanistan, repeatedly said winding it down would allow the US to put greater focus on combating malevolent acts from adversaries, Russia and China. The United States remains firmly committed to Ukraine's sovereignty and territorial integrity in the face of Russian aggression and for Ukraine's Euro-Atlantic aspirations, Biden said. The Ukrainian leader, who had found himself ensnarled in Donald Trump's first impeachment, arrived at the White House looking to Biden for increased military aid and backing for his country's bid for NATO membership. The optics of the moment did not go unnoticed by the Ukrainian president, who is looking to strengthen his country's relationship with the US. In advance of the sit-down, the Biden administration said it was committing up to $60 million in new military aid to Ukraine. The administration said in a notification to Congress that the aid package for Ukraine was necessary because of a major increase in Russian military activity along its border and because of mortar attacks, ceasefire violations, and other provocations. You can subscribe to 5 Minute News on YouTube with your preferred podcast app. Ask your smart speaker or enable 5 Minute News as your Amazon Alexa flash briefing skill. Subscribe, rate and review online at 5minute.news. 5 Minute News is an Evergreen Podcast covering politics, inequality, health and climate, delivering independent, unbiased and essential world news daily.